What's up, everyone? Prowl Nation, welcome to Lunchtime Detroit Lions Talk, your home for Detroit Lions news and rumors, brought to you by Detroit Lions on the Prowl and Lions Nation Unite. We have got a full buffet to feed you today. We got some trade talks, we got some celebration, and we've got to look at what's coming up ahead. But before we get into all of that, let me bring in the rest of the crew. You know him, he's the master chef, the MMA fighter. He'll feed you, he'll dress you real good, he'll fight for you, and he'll be everything you ever need. He'll sell you a Wolverine shirt. Who?
I box. I don't do the cage fighting. It's the Wolverine, Coach Mike Jones. What's going on, Lion fan?
Okay, correct me, because I don't want you throwing them hands at me. All right.
Nope. Mm-mm.
And of course, everyone's favorite chocolate teddy bear. The ladies love him. The men despise him. It's our boy LL Cool Torrance. How you doing this morning?
Don't despise me, fellows. Good morning, Proud Nation. Happy Wednesday.
Okay, so let's get this thing started.
Right now.
Let's go.
It's Detroit Lions Talk, baby.
Okay, guys, we have got a full, delicious meal prepared for you for our main course. And it's not prepared by Coach Mike Jones. We have a fresh dish brought to you today by our man LL, who has brought something really tasty for us to the Prowl Nation barbecue. So, LL, what you got for us?
Well, I don't know how tasty it's gonna be, but I had to go back too because a lot of things that we say on this show, I see other people talk about it, but I don't ever see any credit. But it could just be great minds think alike, and I'm not gonna call anybody out on this one. But a while ago, a long time ago, and I even had to go just to see for myself. But like in the beginning of December 2nd to be exact, I had sent out a post to a bunch of my friends. Like, if we end up with the 16th pick, would y'all trade it for Jalen Ramsey? That's what I think we was at 16 or whatever it is. Just wondering. Just figuring stuff out. Some people say yes, some people say hell no. Things like that. And now, over the last few weeks or so, I might have seen one video, then another video, and now I'm seeing more and more and more. Now it's from a video or from a channel that's close related to us, and I see them out there, but I don't think I'm not saying this. It's a rumor that's out there, so I'm gonna cut the joke in half there. But and that is if we were trade for Jalen Ramsey. I haven't watched any of the other videos on it, so I don't know what the packages consist of. But in my mind, I'm not willing to give up a whole lot for him. In my mind, I was thinking maybe 18, like where we stand right now. I would probably give up 18 for Jalen Ramsey. But then I actually looked into it a little bit because in my mind, I'm like, maybe like 27, 28. I knew he was getting paid because I remember he saying the big deal. Then he got traded to LA, but I didn't know. And Ms. Bell let me know he made it re-up in LA. I didn't know that part, but I knew he was getting paid. But I thought that was a few years ago, so I thought he was down the chart some. He's still making pretty good money. His cap hit is still like 25, 26 million at 28 years old, and he on the 29 side of 28. So, I feel like he's still a good player. I know some people, may have an issue with his attitude. I don't care about that. He's a football player. I like Jalen Ramsey. As a football player, I like Jalen Ramsey. He's been getting caught out of position some of these times too. A lot of people saying he's getting burnt. And I was a little upset at medium play Slay for saying that about the other dude the other day saying, this is what happened and other people gonna say he got burnt. He did get burnt, but he didn't have safety help. That's just there's two parts to the story. But same thing with Jalen Ramsey. Right. Sometimes he get burnt, sometimes he make a move and there's supposed to be another guy there and they're not there. So whatever. I still think he's a very good football player. And if that number was 25 instead of 27 or 28, sorry. If he was 25 and that exact same money, I'd say pull the trigger. Not giving up a whole lot, but maybe that 18 pick in the next year, second round pick or something, I will pull that trigger because that's what we need on this defense. Imagine if, right? The thing about it's like context, right? When people look at the Lions, they go say, "Oh, he didn't make the playoffs, though." Yeah, it was a lot. It was ups and downs, a lot that goes into it, right? Text without context is no sense, or whatever that saying is, right? But I don't really like Raheem Morris as a defensive coordinator. He don't really put him in the best position, and he's actually a man corner, so you can put him just on a guy. You know how they used to do Darrell Reeves. I'm not going to even mention I'm not going to mention the GOAT, but you can just put him on the guy, and that's what we need. So back to my scenario. Imagine if, right, with the pass rush that we got Aiden Hutchinson, whoever on the other side, whether it be James Houston or yeah, I'm gonna say the problem. James Houston, we got the guys in there. We sending a good little blitz, right? And we don't got Okuda or Armani or Warrior on the back end. We got Jalen Ramsey on the other end of that. Just imagine. So yeah, it's worth the money, but if he was a little bit younger and those things. So I'm gonna answer my own question. I'm gonna answer the question. Would I trade for Jalen Ramsey? Probably not. We have to restructure that contract and stuff like that to make it a whole lot friendlier to us. And I wouldn't give up a whole lot for him. But what do you guys think? Would you guys put together a package to trade for Jalen Ramsey? Yeah, hell no, not even with another package. Or what do you think?
You know what? It would all just depend on what Jalen Ramsey, what you could get him for, how you could structure his deal, how you could, kind of backload it, or you know what I'm saying, and kind of hold off that big cap number until 2024 when we actually have a big bulk of cap money. But I would definitely consider Jalen Ramsey because Jalen Ramsey having a shutdown corner, it's just it's different. Like when you can lock down, like you see how Sauce Gardner is perceived. When you got a guy who can shut somebody down, who can lock down a whole area, I mean, that allows your defensive line to pin their ears back. As you know, their number one guy is being covered. So, man, it would just depend. I'm not one to be like, oh no, because I know a lot of Lions are like, oh no, we don't need them. Like if you look at how close the Lions were to the playoffs, if you look at the playoffs, look at the teams that were in the playoffs, that we beat some of them. You look at how they're performing. And you add Jalen Ramsey to the mix, plus whatever's in the draft, I'm not going to dismiss that so quickly. So I'm kind of all for it.
Well, for me, I know that right now that the trade market for him is sizzling hot. Quite a few teams are interested in him, and of course, for the Detroit Lions, cornerback is one of the major needs that we need to address coming up. Defensive back, all of that stuff. And Jalen Ramsey has the skill set for it. However, I'm going to give a hell no on this one for a few reasons. Number one, I don't think the Los Angeles Rams are going to trade him to anybody. Not with the dead cap hit that they would have, not with the money that they're paying him. I don't think that's going to happen regardless. He's going to be stuck there in LA for a while.
Jacksonville. I mean, my bad. LA.
Yeah, he's in LA. He was from Jacksonville and went to LA. Yeah. So, yeah, and that's the other thing. I don't think he's a great culture fit for Detroit with his attitude. Number one,
he left. A perfect fit.
No, I don't think so. And here's why I think this is not. Because he threw an attitude in Jacksonville saying he didn't get along with the team front office and wanted to be traded. LA picked him up. They paid a pretty hefty price for him with first round draft picks and I believe a fourth round, if I'm not mistaken. And then the Rams signed someone else and decided to pay him a little bit more. And now Jalen Ramsey appears to have a little bit of an attitude about that, looking to get out of LA. So no, I don't for the attitude, that's another reason I say no. He's too quick to want to leave if things don't go his way. The other thing is I don't think it's within the wise choice of Brad Holmes with the budget for him. Could we possibly afford him? No, but we've got a lot of needs to address. And I don't think that Ramsey is, while he's got the great skill set, is going to be worth the cost to acquire him.
Too old. He's too old.
Yeah.
But one thing about the attitude and stuff, like now, especially, I don't know about the contract and stuff, but because like I said, I personally don't like Raheem Morris. I don't know if anybody else out there, who watches football, and maybe because maybe I'm not seeing what I think I'm seeing. Maybe y'all, a little bit more astute than I am. But I don't really like Raheem Morris. I don't, look at people, look at the change in people's games. That team looked different under Brandon Staley and under some other guys, like under Wade Phillips and stuff like that. So I don't know. I don't know if he's, if the attitude isn't warranted. You know what I'm saying? And players get tired of terrible organizations. Look at how many people left here and said something about it. So and we all could agree. We at some point we were a very shitty organization. We ran very bad and kept making terrible decision after terrible decision after terrible decision. But like I said, I think you're a perfect fit just as far as football goes. If you Ramsey get on people. Like Ramsey, I would like it if he was a little bit younger, but I'm gonna say no too. At this point, everything's standing right now. No, I can't do it.
Right. Yeah, like I said, it would just matter about the contract. That's all. It's not if he's a dude, if he's a player, if he's gonna continue to play. We all know as coaching staff, you're not gonna come here and fall asleep with a big check. We all know that. You're not doing that here, bro. You know what I'm saying? So it just would matter if they can iron out the money, man, and if he can kind of hold off and get a bigger chunk of his money next year as opposed to this year, you know what I'm saying, then I'll be for it. But if not, I trust Brad Holmes to draft somebody. Maybe they're not as good as Jalen Ramsey, but I trust that he'll do what he's supposed to do, man. So, yeah.
And just an added to what you're saying, like, if anybody could do it, it'd be, they coined the phrase Disneynomics. It'd be Disney. They could figure something out. So,
right. Disneynomics.
Everybody know.
I'm sure Disney could work his magic with the contract, and Jalen Ramsey has the skills, but he's too. I'm calling diva. I'm calling diva, and that is not what we need here in Detroit. I'm calling diva. Let somebody else take that mess, because I think it will backfire if the Lions take him. So I don't know. Prowl Nation, what do you think? I mean, if the situation is right, if the money's good, do you make that move? Do you try to, offer up something to acquire Jalen Ramsey? What would that be? What would you give up to get him? Let us know in the comment section below the video, and we want to hear your thoughts. We want to hear what you have to say. Should the Lions make that trade move with Jalen Ramsey? Hell yes, hell no. Let us know. But if you like this content, make sure you like and subscribe and hit that notification bell. We're on that march to 4K, y'all. So we need your help. Share the video. Let more Lions fans know what we have to offer here at Detroit Lions on the Prowl. And make sure you check out Fanatics.com and Prowl Nation shop to get your gear. And also make sure, if you're a Wolverine fan, you check out Wolverine.com. Coach Michael hook you up with some gear in the off season to get you ready for 2023, 2024. So make sure you hook it up and see he's got the gear right there on him. That's the kind of stuff that you can get some really cool designs and gear over at Wolverine.com. Now that we've paid the bills, let's move on to what I've got to bring up today. Some of you guys may know this, but we're just going to go through this real quickly to show you what's the Detroit Lions have to face coming up, what the offseason schedule is going to look like. So that you have those dates here for you available so that you are ready for any breaking news that happens, with free agency, with the draft. So let's go into what's coming up for the schedule in the offseason, the most important dates you need to know. On February 21st, it will be the first day that clubs can designate franchise or transition players. And on February 28th through the March 6th, we've got the NFL Scouting Combine. That is when we here at Detroit Lions on the Prowl will be kicking into high gear with the draft talk, baby. So make sure you save those dates. On March 7th is the deadline to designate the franchise or transition players. And on March 7th, also, the teams are permitted to host 30 draft-eligible non-local players for physical exams and visits until April 19th. They can also video or telephone interview draft-eligible players. On March 13th through the 15th, clubs are going to be permitted to contact and enter into contract negotiations with the agents of players who will become unrestricted free agents upon the expiration of their player contracts. On March 15th, clubs must submit the qualifying offers to restricted free agents. If that offer is not extended, those players will become unrestricted agents at the start of the year. On March 15th, all teams got to be under the salary cap prior to 1 o'clock Pacific time. And on that date, the league year and the free agency period begins. All the player contracts are going to expire at that time and the trading period starts. So that's when the free agents are going to be able to start getting signed. And on April 17th, we've got off-season workouts for all of the teams that have returning head coaches. On April 21st, the deadline for the restricted free agents for them to sign their offer sheets will happen. And to finish us off, on April 27th through the 29th, we will have the NFL draft in Kansas City, Missouri. So that is when we are going to be live all 3 days to make sure you have the breaking news of who is the Lions are going to sign on the road to Detroit to finish this build. So there is a lot. This is Super Bowl season, baby. So make sure you like, subscribe, and hit that notification bell so you don't miss a thing, because we got a lot coming out in this offseason to share with you. And who knows what can happen at any time. You know it. I mean, the Lions get shifty and they throw some things in here we don't expect. So make sure you stay in contact. Now, we've got celebration news today. Breaking news from yesterday. Coach Mike, let us know what's up.
Man, just when I thought, you know what, I got to realistically just part ways with Ben Johnson emotionally. You know what I'm saying? 'Cause when you look at the market, and you look at, you know, Sean Payton's obviously probably number one, everybody's list on the market. But then who's number two? And I'd say Ben Johnson's number two. And that's not just me being a biased Lions fan. That's look at our history. When you got a coordinator who can revive the Lions offense, everybody want him. Like, he's articulate. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, he must know something. So, you know, that had me like, you know what, I gotta get ready just to, you know, like, hey, Ben, you know, I'm not gonna turn down the raise. I'm not. I don't care how much I love the team. I'm not turning down the raise. I'm not turning down a promotion, a raise, or none of that. Like, I'll take it and just deal with whatever want to happen. So I understand where if Ben Johnson would have left. But ding dong, at the last hour, Ben Johnson said, you know what? I think I'm gonna stay in Detroit. I'm trying to stick this out, man. And you know what? It speaks volumes to what they're trying to build in Detroit, because that shows you that Detroit Lion fans are not just hype on us and we're just hyping the team up. Ben Johnson believes that we can cross that threshold next season to becoming a possible Super Bowl contender. I mean, when you look at that first round of the playoff, that Super Wildcard round of the playoffs, there was no team in the NFC that we couldn't beat. Like, there isn't. in the playoffs. There was no team. Like you look at two teams that we beat, Minnesota and the Giants, and you're like, we're in the divisional round. You know what I'm saying? We going to the next round. So yeah, man, it just shows you that this is proof in the pudding that we are this close. We are this close to becoming successful. I don't think when Ben Johnson really weighed it, and he really weighed how much money he would get next year if he left in 2024, and he took the Lions to the playoffs, and we got a playoff victory, versus if he went now before the Lions scratched the surface. I think he sees more money and a bigger payday next season. And also I think he thinks too, the jobs just aren't worth the risk right now. If you look at Carolina, there's nothing they can add that's going to put them in the Super Bowl contention. Like, there's nothing, you know what I'm saying? That roster kind of got to be fine-tuned. Denver's roster, that's a cap hell situation. So they're the Cardinals, that's a cap hell situation. They gotta figure some shit out. They trying to figure out how to get rid of DeAndre Hopkins. Kyler Murray, so I don't think that there's any situation worth going to be the head coach of this year. When you look at the position Detroit Lions could possibly be in next year, I think he wants to ride that out, and then maybe he'll go and to a head coaching job. But I'm thankful Ben Johnson. Like, I feel like in the last 48 hours, like, that's why I'm wearing this U of M hat. I feel like in the last 48 hours, man, like, people stop playing with me. Like, you know what I'm saying? Jim Harbaugh was like, you know what, Michigan, I'm gonna come back. I'm gonna be back next year. And then finally, last night in the evening time, I'm eating my dinner. Ben Johnson wanted to be like, I'm coming back. So I'm like, some stress is relieved off of me. I ain't gonna have to be at nobody's house, threatening nobody. So I'm happy, man. Like, I'm good. I'm good, because I really didn't want to have to go to nobody's house and depot nobody to coming back. So yeah, man. Shout out to Ben Johnson, man. And shout out to Jim Harbaugh too, man. But what are your thoughts on Ben Johnson coming back to the D, baby?
I'm excited, man. I've said, like, selfishly, I didn't want him to leave, but I understand. Like you said, Coach Mike, a lot of people ain't turned down no raise, no matter what it is. Like, no matter what the situation is, we'll figure it out later. I'm a head coach now. I got that on my resume, like, forever and ever and ever, right? But I think it's a couple things. I think, and you said them all. I think that maybe the situations weren't quite right this year. And if the situation wasn't quite right, then maybe they wasn't willing to give him the autonomy that maybe he might have wanted. And I don't know what that might mean. Maybe that's picking his own offensive staff and picking his own, maybe he got a guy in mind to coach his defense up or something. I don't know. Maybe everything just wasn't where he wanted it at. And he was like, nah, maybe the pay wasn't, because we didn't really, we were right there. I know y'all see the meme where it's all the teams, where it's the guy celebrating. He the team, the last team on the thing. So we didn't make it. We had a good season, but we didn't. There's a lot of things that people could use against him. So maybe they weren't willing to. Maybe the check wasn't right, or maybe he like you also said, we really about to do this. So I want to be here. Like, I feel like we can do this. I want to stick around. But one thing I just think, like, remember back in the day, like, we'll know we'll lose him at some point, but like, Ben Johnson will be here 5, 6, like, teams, like, it wasn't all of this willy foo every year, somebody going, somebody coming type stuff. It wasn't all of this, teams stuck together that, they tried to build and do other stuff like that. And of course, I don't know if that's what's going to happen, but Dan Campbell is from one of the oldest schoolists of coaches, and that's, the Parcells tree. So maybe that's what they got going on here. Maybe they really willing to build this thing into a monster and then go do something. That'd be dope, but who knows, I'm hoping that that's what it is. I'm hoping that Ben Johnson really got the confidence that we really about to be something, and we don't stick around, win a couple, and then he'll go do this thing.
Well, for me, all I got to say is Ben is back, baby. And this Queen of the Prowl, had no doubt from the very start. If you remember Monday, I told you, don't worry. This story here in Detroit is way more important to Ben Johnson right now than the money. Look, he could go make the money and fall on his face, and then what? He ain't got nothing continuing forward. He's got a bad rap. See what I'm saying? But you stay in Detroit with this build, and even Dan Campbell brought it up himself on the Manning cast, talking about how, they've got some unfinished business here, and not being in the playoffs this year just fueled enough fire. They are a playoff-worthy team, and they are, say, Brad Holmes thinks that they're ahead of the build. So Ben Johnson has a huge story here developing that could really make him a household name across the board everywhere in the NFL. So there's no doubt he's going to stay here and he's going to lead the charge. And who knows, maybe at some point he might take over Campbell as head coach here.
What really put fear in me was the domino effect that Ben Johnson leaving would have, because if Ben Johnson went to the head coaching job, he hasn't been in the league that long. He's been in the league for a few years, but who is he going to take with him? Maybe he takes Deuce Staley to be his offensive coordinator. Maybe he takes Calvin Shepard to be his defensive coordinator. It's now we're not just minding Ben Johnson.
He can take Aaron Glenn.
You know what I'm saying? Aaron Glenn wouldn't leave one defensive coordinator job to be another. You know what I'm saying? But
right. Trade a bicycle for a bicycle.
Maybe, I'm just saying, what other coaches from the staff is he gonna pluck? Maybe Antoine Randall. Maybe he takes him. You know what I'm saying? That was my biggest concern, was not Ben leaving. Well, it was Ben leaving, but Ben leaving, and who else gonna go with him? What positional coach is gonna go with him and become a coordinator? And that's the domino effect was making me nervous. It was making your boy a little bit. I was oh man, so. Yeah.
Well, I think for a lot of Lions fans, it was a lot this team has been suffering for a very long time. And just as soon as we get good, you're almost waiting for the bad news to hit. You're waiting for that shoe to drop. But you know what? Those worries are swept under the rug now, because we ain't got to worry about welcome Ben. Come on, bring it. Bring what you got next season, because the Lions are on their way. Talk about the road to Detroit. We're talking about the road to the Super Bowl, baby. So let's go one pride with the Detroit Lions this year under the helm of Ben Johnson. So if you like this content, make sure you check us out. I mean, I know we don't have any games going on, but you can always hang out with us on Game Day at LNU. Lions Nation United is an awesome platform of Lions fans. You can keep up with all the content from Detroit Lions content creators, from Mike to Dosa Dion to Detroit Lions on the Prowl to Smoking Jeremy B. Everybody's there. So if you're not there, make sure you download that app at the Google Play Store, because you want to be involved with what's coming up in Detroit in the next few months. So get that going. Now it's time for us to zip our lip and talk about what you had to say about the last show, where we put this season to rest for the Detroit Lions, because we're moving forward from here on out. And we blocked that rear view mirror, and we're just looking straight through the windshield to Super Bowl success. So we're going to kick it off with Ryan Smith, who says, I'm in a wicked staring contest with a panic button right now, and pretty confident I'll be the first to blink. Just feels like after decades, we finally have something worth stealing away, and we are the Lions. So, yup, I blinked. And that was in reference to Ben Johnson potentially leaving. You know what? I know that was one of the big concerns for many Lions fans, that, can we have something nice in Detroit for once, please? But it's all good. Thank you for your comment, and welcome to Prowl Nation.
Right. Brandon Foster. I don't know. Welcome to
He's
the
new.
comments. If this is
Yeah.
welcome to the comments, Brandon Foster. He says, "I hope they stay. We got something special here. I think they higher ups trying to ruin this Detroit system."
And that was
I
with the
think
NFL officiating. Yeah.
Okay. I thought you were talking about like
No, they were with it with the
higher ups.
whole Jamal Williams and
I got you.
Quay
I
Walker
got you.
deal.
Yeah. Yeah. They always be on BS, man, and I watched the replay on it. Coach Mike has said, it's rigged and stuff. I'm not a person to think that it's rigged, but if you are, it's enough evidence that says that it is. I don't want to think that it's rigged, because then at that point, what's the point? What's the point in watching it if it's all fake?
I mean, no. I mean, it's not fake, but calls are definitely giving a
Did
certain
you hear what I
team
said?
to,
It's a
yeah,
lot. It's a lot, man. It's a.
yeah,
If you wanted to, yeah.
Well,
yeah,
you know
like
what though? Sheila Ford Hamp, and she don't like that right now, and she put on her white diamonds just recently, and she gonna roll up on the NFL because she went and got on the phone with several team league owners to talk about this NFL officiating. So let's see what happens in the offseason, because
let's see what becomes of it.
Sheila Ford rolling up with that white diamond, so it's about to get real.
All right, so Brent DeWitt, he says, I agree with Coach Jones. Quay Walker should be suspended. The NFL needs to rethink ridiculous fines. Jamal getting fined more than someone preventing a trainer access to an injured player is stupid. Yes, it is. I think Ben Johnson stays. You were right, and continues to add to his resume. Next year, I'll be more worried about him leaving for a head coaching position, and that's kind of what I said earlier, man. I think Ben Johnson wants to see out. I think he's more excited next year than the players are, and he wants to see where this can go. And then maybe he'll talk about head coaching job when he has higher money in demand. So thanks for the comment.
Yeah, and it wasn't just trainer access; it was actually the medical doctor that he prevented access to. So yeah, that is a big deal. Watley Ravala, great topic, Val and Coach Mike, about the refs. We all hate the referees for multiple reasons. I think it's time the NFL finally takes the ref situation seriously. It's time they hire full-time referees and they train and score the people. There's an interesting twist that's not been talked about, giving referees a scoring system.
We might see it at some point,
That's
but
good.
they're allegedly testing robot umps in minor league baseball this year. So I don't know if that's what it's gonna come to, but it ain't gonna never change with the rest, because they have to have some kind of influence on it. You can't influence. I mean, you could influence a robot, but the refs got to do what the refs got to do to make whatever system go.
It's a difficult decision to make because there's so much to go wrong. I mean, you can go wrong with robotics, you can go wrong with the human eye. I mean, and the game is way too fast a lot of times to make an accurate call, but you got to address
that's why they got replay. It's a lot. Like how many times have we seen with the Lions, especially, even with the replay changes and throughout the years, is every single turn is like it's some new. It's just like, God damn, you know what I'm saying? So
yeah.
I don't, and that's why I say, like, I don't. If you think that it is, it's enough evidence to say it's whatever you want it to be.
The biggest problem is that most of the rules are left open to referee interpretation. That rule book really needs to be solidified with clearer language.
I feel like that's an excuse, and I know we running long on this one, but it's just like one of them things. I cut this short, but one thing I like to look at with the officiating crew, and it's just me. Like, let's say if it's a play on the goal line or whatever it is, I feel like the better crews will call it a touchdown because you got to replay. I mean, you got to review it anyway. So the better crews will let it do that. Let the system take care of it. The other crews is going to call it, you know what I'm saying? And now if you want to challenge it, you got to challenge the XYZ. I thought about that in that Michigan game when my man, that was in my mind, that's an obvious fucking touchdown. Obvious touchdown. And they never challenged it, you know what I'm saying? But if you call it a touchdown, you got to review the XYZ, blah, blah, blah. My apologies for letting that run long. Joseph, friend of the show, Joseph Murdoch says, what in the hell did the Lions do to the NFL that made them has them hating on the organization for so long? I don't know. It's a lot of rumors out there. Being from around this area, you know what I'm saying, the Silverdome being right up the way, you hear a lot of stuff. It's a lot. Old black people don't like the Lions for a lot of old people, period. Let me just not say black people. Old black people, old white people, old Mexican people, all people don't like the Lions in this area for a lot of reasons. So maybe that's other people's reasons too.
Yeah. I just don't think they like the money that's involved with the forwards that, you know what I'm saying, and what you know, being a $1 billion company and family has brought, you know, the aura that brings. I think people kind of hate on that a little bit.
Well, you know that the fines that are charged to the players for penalties are given to the league foundation to help the legends with medical care expenses and things like that. So that's maybe they're behind on the bills. I don't know. That's why they're doing all the penalty things.
All that TV money, they better not be. Fresh and Fly says, first I want to apologize to Brad for all the slander, but now Brad Holmes is slowly turning to Danny Ainge from Utah Jazz GM of the NFL. Fleecing other teams out of draft capital and creating a competitive team out of average Joes. He said, keep it up, Brad. And you know what? There was a wait and see approach to Brad Holmes because he was a new GM. He was his college scout. But now, if you look at his past 2 years and you look at the quality of player that he's brought in, out of all the players that he's drafted, how many starters and how many contributors to the Lions team are out on the field? And that's to show you right there, man. Like I said, and Brad, I trust, man. Thank you for the comment.
Yeah, thank you, Prowl Nation, for your comments. And we pick 6 of those every day to be, you know, on the show. So make sure you leave us your comments so that, you know, because you are what's most important here at Detroit Lions on the Prowl. So I've got some ice cold dessert for you today. I know Curt is celebrating his birthday bash, so I'm going to give him some ice cream with his. I'm going to give him some ice cream with his cake. I don't think that this is going to leave a good taste in LL's mouth, but it is what it is. ESPN dropped their list of the 100 most valuable players in this past season, and guess who cracked the top 20? Jared Goff. He was ranked as the 15th most valuable player this season, and he did it. 15. Yes. He finished this season 5th in QBR and led an offense that ranked 3rd in EPA per dropback, only behind the Chiefs and the Bills. And he did it without help, a lot of help from his teammates. His offensive line was average in pass protection, and while Amon St. Brown was very good, the Lions receiving group, he says, wasn't particularly impressive as a whole. But Amon Ra and Aiden Hutchinson also made the top 100. Amon at 43 and Aiden Hutchinson at 80. So Jared Goff is making the case to be the franchise quarterback here. He's got the support of Brad Holmes. Brad Holmes hinted that, you know, if you go for a quarterback in the draft, you might get something worse. So it looks like Goff is here to stay. So you better get those Jared jammies, LL. Yeah.
Good for him, though. Good for him, though. Congrats.
Yeah. So
that's dope.
So y'all send LL some Jared Goff gear. So you know he's got to support that this year. So
yeah, I take all the free stuff.
So we're going to end the show with our final thoughts. LL, what's your final thoughts for today?
Well, final thoughts is shout out to the Wall of Fame, but I'm certainly.
Oh yeah, no, never mind. Let's get to the. You know what? I done. Okay, we going. Nathan edit that. Nathan can edit that out. Okay, let's go to the Wall of Fame before we get to our final thoughts. Sorry, Prowl Nation. I'm not neglecting you. I promise.
You good.
It's too early in the morning when we're recording this for me. There are bronze members. We've got Detroit Drew, Latino Leo, Brian Stover, David Anderson, Sage Roberts, Shano the Insano, Bob Korozowski, Dan Spanos, Everything, King, Joseph Carter, George Eagle, Jimmy Birch, John Moe, Rich Bean, Benny Siegel, and Nomus J. Silver members topping out with Cap Ice Cole, Batman of the 313, John Martin, Henry Wallace, Mr. Scotty the Bear, Kirtland Pratt, and yeah, our gold members, we got North End Ken, with the Mr. Reliable Michael Huck, Larry McQuiston, Turner Burley, Justin the D, Michael Lewis, the Queen Lady, Lionor Douchebagia, Dominique Davis, the Jazzy One, Paul DeRose, the Tornado of Utah, and of course the Doctor. Dr. Detroit is always in. So thank you guys, Proud Nation, for being part of us, and supporting us on an everyday basis. We love you, and it's all love here at Detroit Lions on the Prowl. So now let's get to the final thoughts. LL, what you got?
Final thoughts. Welcome back, Ben Johnson. I'm excited for next year. It's a lot of. I hope everything really. I hope it goes how it should. Have a great Wednesday. Fan yourself some dollar ponies. $1.25 at M on the grill, and enjoy the rest of your week. See y'all next week.
Yeah, man, I can sleep better tonight. I slept better last night, but I can definitely sleep better, man, knowing that Jim Harbaugh's coming back, knowing that Ben Johnson's coming back. So I'm good right now. Yeah, man, I'm good. I'm all positive right now, man. So hey, it's a good day to be a Wolverine. It's a good day to be a Lions fan. It's a good day to be a Wolverine.
Absolutely. All roads are leading to Detroit. All eyes are on what's coming up next. We've got, a lot to look forward to. So you guys can rest easy, celebrate, get your drink on. If you're working today, make sure you'll finish your drink like Curt always tells you. Wipe off those crumbs off your face and get back to work. And, of course, we can't believe the most important advice that our Man of Steel gives us. Whatever you do in life, you've got to boss up, ball out, and be the best version of you that you can be. So from the team here, the crew at Detroit Lions on the Prowl, we want you to have a great day. Enjoy your Lion fandom. And of course, we love you, Jim.